What's up, friends and family? Welcome back to another episode of The Flop. Dad, what is going on? How are you?
What's up, dude? Man, I'm doing good. Just looking as tired as I possibly could, but feeling as tired as I possibly can.
No, you look good. You look good. Don't worry about it. You look good in that
Yeah.
contraband sweatshirt. That's pretty sweet.
Ooh, thanks. Yeah, I like my contraband sweatshirt. Thanks, Contraband Athletics.
Heck
They
yeah.
didn't send it to me for free. I bought it, but still, thank you. It's really comfy.
Yeah. I guess we can thank people even when we buy stuff and don't get it for free.
Yeah,
That's a
I
good
guess
lesson.
so.
I guess
But
we
you know
can.
what else, guys? We will be happy to thank you if you send us stuff for free too.
We'll thank you more, even,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
which is better.
It's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. That's just us. Guys, what is
Yeah.
up? Welcome back to another episode. We always want to thank our sponsor, Triple Crown. Check them out on Facebook at Triple Crown Cornhole. The link is down below in the description, as always. This episode, we just want to kind of catch up. I know you played in a regional, your first regional, and first time just playing
Yeah.
in general in a long time. So we don't have much to talk about today as far as topics or anything, but I do want to break down your regional, see how you've been doing, see how it was, and any lessons learned you got from that. So if you're good,
Yeah.
like, we can dive in.
Yeah, let's do. So, first of all, one of the big takeaways that I got from the regional was that you got to practice. You just have to put work in. You don't put work
Really?
in, you keep it's controversial. I know that it's controversial, and so I just
I don't
want
know about
to
that.
lay that out there. But you definitely want to put in some practice. So I
Nice.
did pretty decent, actually. I threw pretty well. Like right now, my performance stats, my PPR is a 7.67.
Nothing wrong with
So
that.
I'm not super mad at that for giving as little as I've practiced. And then, I had a couple of games where I threw really well and threw, in the eights. And then
Nice.
I had some events where I actually, my average was in the eights. So that was cool. But my takeaway is that practice is where you find the consistency. And so I had some really good games, and I had specifically some really good rounds with some really good bags. And then the ugly head of no practice and inconsistency would rear its head, and I would
Right.
clang one off the side of the board, or I would throw, and I'm throwing carpet bags, and I would just throw one and just shoot it off the back. Like there's no reason for that, And so
Right.
I'd have, two or three good bags and then throw a clanger or a miss bag or hit a front board or, something like that. And I just realized very quickly that these are the rust spots that show when you aren't really practicing. You aren't really
Mm.
putting in the work, at home off the clock. Basically, you're not really putting in the work. It's hard to get in there and really feel dialed in. So I know that just one of my takeaways from the event was that I cannot be disappointed. At first, when I wanted to leave, I was like, I want to be disappointed. I want to be disappointed in how I played, how I performed, and all of that. And
Right.
but then I really started to think about it because, one thing that I've learned from the show, and that's pretty cool, and from our conversations that you and I have just had personally when we talk, is that it helps me really to look at a macro view, the larger picture, instead
Right.
of just dialing in on the small thing that I can just see that's right in front of my face. And so I took a step back and I said, okay, wait a second. Why are you disappointed? You didn't practice at all. I think I threw one day that week, and it was like Monday. So it wasn't even like I threw really close to the
Yeah.
blind draw, you know what I mean? Or really close to the regional. I did go to the blind draw the night before the regional, and I did okay. But still, leading up to that night, to that Friday night, I had thrown like Monday. And so I looked at it from that standpoint, and I was just like, you know what? This is perspective. And I can't be disappointed in how I played when I did not practice at all. I mean, I didn't throw any bags, and then I show up and actually do pretty decent for not throwing any bags. So I kind of flipped the script and went from feeling really disappointed in how I played and how I performed to actually like, you know what? Actually, for not practicing a lot, I actually threw pretty well, and I'm not sad. We talked about those in the past we talked about games where you lose the game but you played your face off. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And so you consider that to be like a win. You're playing a person you have no business beating, and you make the game last, and you're washing and you're going the distance, and then maybe they end up winning 21-13. But like, you should have never scored 13 points on this person. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's a really good feeling.
Yeah, you come out of that game feeling really good. So I tried to flip that around and just say, you know what? I should be kind of proud that I did as well as I did without practicing. Now that being said, I'm not trying to have a participation ribbon. That's not what I'm trying to do mentally. But what I am saying is I'm being hopeful because I am going to practice. I am going to practice more. I just did a live stream practice a couple of nights ago,
Nice.
and I don't know if anybody tuned into it or not. It might have just been for me. So,
Could have been.
but I just wanted to put it out there because one of the things I talked about was like, I want to practice more and I want to do better when November's regional comes around. When November's regional comes around, I want to be ready for it. And I'm going to make sure that, I play at a higher level than I played this regional. And for me, I only do one a month. So I don't get to go
Nice.
to every regional that happens in the area. So for me, my targets are my local regionals. So when November's regional comes around, I just want to do better than I did in this one. And if I can do better in this than the next regional than I did in this one, then I'm on the path I need to be on. I'm advancing, I'm moving forward. But yeah, so that my takeaway is not that I'm trying to manipulate myself into thinking I did well, but realizing that I did better than I expected to do without having practiced. So for me, it
Yeah.
was hopeful. For me, it was hopeful because I was like, well, if I practice, I'm pretty close. If I practice and I really dial it in, I should have a good showing at the next regional. So that's my game plan. Hopefully that when that regional rolls around, I'll be ready for it. But if you do want to go back, if anybody wants to go back, I did save the practice session on the flop page, so it is there. You can go view it. It went longer than I thought it did. It was about 45 minutes long, and it's just me
Oh,
throwing
nice.
bags. It's not really any like commentary. I mean, I stop a couple of times and talk about a couple of things and kind of what I'm trying to do, but for the most part, just throwing bags. Trying to get into a rhythm. I threw 5 sets of bags, I think, and because for me, this was just about the mechanics. This was just about familiarizing, getting my arm motions back down, getting the way that I
Right.
throw the bags. So it wasn't like I played Ghost, or it wasn't just one set of bags that I was trying to, do my best with. I was really just trying to zone in, but I did use, it was like 4 sets of BGs, 3 Viking, 1 Warlock, and then a Contraband Combat.
Great.
So love the Contraband Combat. It's next to the Viking is like one of my favorite bags. When the boards are really fast, they tend to grip a little bit more, and that's kind of cool. So, but
Yeah.
so anyway, point is though, is like, you could see even in those practice sessions, like I'll hit 5, 6 bags in the hole in a row for a spell, and then I'll throw one off the side, and it's just like, how is that even possible? I am literally doing the same thing every time, and these all go in, and then this next one just clang, or
Right. I
front
mean,
board or off. Yeah.
it's focus requires energy. I mean, and it is taking energy from you to focus. I probably said this 1,000 times on this podcast. I feel ridiculous saying it again, but it's just such a mind-blowing statistic. Like master chess players, they burn an absurd amount of calories while they're playing in huge tournaments. Like enough calories that like comparable to like a marathon runner running a marathon, like absolutely
Jeez.
unbelievable amount of calories. And it's because we are energy systems, and it does require energy for us to put out focus, even focus, not just physical, tasks. So that makes complete sense that we lose that ability, because it's like we're not robots. Like, you will lose your focus because it is requiring something of you to maintain it. So, I mean, it makes sense that we do that stuff for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and it's funny you mentioned that, because even in that session, like I went back, because I'm a glutton for punishment. I went back and watched the session after it
Ooh,
had uploaded, because I just kind of wanted to see, like perspective away from that instance, away from that moment. And I could see me losing focus. I could
yeah,
see it. I could see it happening, because like I would have some rounds where you could tell I was being very deliberate and very mechanical and methodical in my motions. And then there would be sections of time where I was just throwing, and you would see my hands just kind of flopping and different, you know what I mean? And it was just
yeah.
like, and I could tell I'm watching myself and I'm like, wow, you're not even trying in this.
You're not
So
even
I'm
trying
like,
to
at
focus.
that, yeah. And at that point, I'm like, did that even benefit you? But the cool thing, and we've talked about this on the show before as well, it is good to record yourself practicing sometimes,
Yes.
because you can really kind of see. And so for me, I looked in there and I'm like, okay, the next time I practice, I have to be mindful that I am practicing with a purpose. And I said
Yes.
that actually in the video. That was one of the things I talked about was this is purposeful practice. Even though I'm throwing a bunch of sets of bags, I'm still trying to set blocks. I'm still trying to cut around. I'm still trying to roll bags. I'm still trying to airmail. I'm still situationally trying to prepare myself. So even though I'm
Good.
throwing a crap ton of bags, I'm doing it with a purpose. But that being said, sometimes I would lose track of that purpose, and I would just zone out, and just you'd see me just bag after bag after bag, instead of picking up the bags, holding, focusing, throwing. You know what I mean? It would just be like methodical at that point. I was just grabbing and throwing, which
That's right.
maybe helped mechanics or muscle memory. I don't know, but I feel like it would have been better if I would have really dialed it in and focused. So I took a
Yeah.
lesson away.
That no, that's awesome. I mean, I totally agree, and I do it. I do the same thing to myself, especially when you're practicing just for the sake of practicing. And sometimes when I'm not performing well, or I'm not trying, or I'm not performing up to my standards, I'm honestly more punishing myself, and I'm just kind of throwing because I just need to be out here throwing, and like I just need to throw 1,000 bags, and that's just like what I need to do. Or
Yeah.
and I do it in a bunch of different, endeavors. And it's just really, we need to maintain a healthy mindset about this stuff. And like we're saying, it requires something of you to be that focused and remain that focused. So like, we need to eat well, we need to sleep well. It's better that you sleep rather than staying up until 2 in the morning and going to work, like throwing bags until 2 in the morning and then going to work or whatever, being drained and then trying to win it back the next day. It's like, if you're in
Yeah.
that like win it back mentality all the time, and it's almost like you're like a gambler or something. It's like you're not putting your best foot forward and like making concerted effort to actually like have the healthy practical habits that are going to make you get better at the sport. You're just like, trying to go out and just like play all the time and like trying to get it back. And I just don't think that's healthy. Like I loved what you said about your micro focus versus your macro focus. And I really like that you play one regional a month. I'm sitting here thinking about it, and I'm like, that's really good. Like, that's a really
Mhm.
solid amount of um time in between to where you can make actual good strides forward. Because what I used to
Mhm.
do all the time is like, I'd be like, oh, I'm not playing well, I guess I need to like go back to the blind draw tomorrow night and throw for 2 hours before I go to the blind draw tomorrow night, and let me try to like get it back tomorrow. But really, if I would just have a macro focus and
Mhm.
take a deep breath for a second and just understand that it's a long process, and put in that healthy work where like if I can focus and I can bring my attention back to what's important, and I get good practice in, and then I'm
Yeah.
not killing myself, then I'm going to have better results in the long term for sure.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, you've talked about it before, that it really takes time to make significant gains.
Mm.
in anything that you're doing. Um, it's not just a simple, I mean, perfect example that you just mentioned. There was a regional this past weekend, and I couldn't go to it, but it's another semi-local, regional. And I only, like I said, I only do one a month, but so I didn't go to it. But I very easily could have practiced all week long and then gone to that regional, on Saturday. And I mean, my sample size would have been 1 week of practice. You know, like
That's it.
how much
Yeah.
better would I have expected to be? Could I have expected to be better if I would have practiced every night? Sure, I could have. I could
Yeah.
have expected to be a little better for sure, and I may have even played better. But to be able to compare this regional that I went to the one that's going to be in November, there's going to be a big gap in that. So my sample, I think, will be a little more accurate. It's like, okay, no practice before regional yielded me these results. Practicing for over a month straight until the next one. And when I say over a month straight, I don't mean every day. I'm not throwing every day, but I am trying
You mean
to.
straight, a month straight of throwing bags.
No breaks.
Literally a month.
24 hours a day.
Yeah.
I've quit my job.
Yeah.
This is it.
You're going to be much
So
better.
yeah, right. But I mean, even then, I'm only trying to do like 2 or 3 nights a week trying to
Yes.
practice. But
That's good.
hey, 2 or 3 nights a week is more than I was practicing before. So this, I feel like, is going to be a good sample for me. And I look forward to talking about the next regional when it comes around to see, what were we crazy? Did practice help? Did practice not help at all? Be good to know.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe all of the best, most successful athletes of all time are all just lying to us, and you don't need to
Right.
practice at all. And
You don't.
um, yeah, something I just keep. I think that we need to treat it more like a sport, or like more like you would in like a professional sport, to where you're not just going out to throw bags just for the sake of throwing bags. Like, video
Yeah.
yourself, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Maybe practice less, but analyze what you're doing so that you can make a decision to change what needs to be changed, or come up with a different strategy. Or, oh man, I'm really not opening my hand to the hole. Like, I'm really not pointing my fingers to the hole. I'm coming around my body or something, like just whatever cues
Yeah.
it is for you. But like, if you're just trying to win it back all the time and you've got a broken throw, then go into the blind draw tomorrow night just because you're mad about it, and you probably don't need to, and you probably need to spend time with your family or something and just practice for an hour at the house. That is
Right.
going to benefit you so much more in the long run than just wearing a broken throw out. Like, that can't be
Yeah.
good. That
No,
can't be good.
you're right. Absolutely. I mean, and we've talked about that too. If you're doing something mechanically unsound or mechanically incorrect, and you practice and continue to do that same thing, you're not going to fix it. If
Mm-hmm.
you're not taking notes and you're not analyzing what you're doing, I mean, and it can be something very detrimental to what your objective is. So you definitely want to be able to be aware of what you're doing and break down what you're doing methodically so that you can correct any inconsistencies or any problems that you have.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I need to think about, yeah, just expand my view of what I'm doing and stuff. I today, this morning, we're talking on a Sunday, but I went and golfed for the first time, and or I'm sorry, the second time I've ever golfed. But my first time was last weekend, and everything we're talking about today with cornhole, I tried to do the exact same thing with golf. I golfed.
Yeah.
I didn't have a good result. It's extremely difficult. It's very highly technical, and it's but really cool. And I enjoy stuff like that. I just like throwing bags. It's the same type of obsession over process and mechanics and things like that. So it was really interesting. I watched every video in the world I possibly could this whole week. I was out in my backyard like every day, like swinging, trying to get better, because I'm going to go golfing next weekend, today,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be just so much better. And I'm really going to have it figured out. And
Yeah.
turns out I was not able to master golf in 1 week. Um,
Seriously?
I know, I know.
You had a whole
I
week.
I had an entire week, and I watched every video I could. I spent so many hours, and really all it is now, Dad, my like I'm defeated and my whole body hurts so bad. Like just every part of my body, like things I just didn't even know about, like just things in my back, like my upper back and my hip from swinging my hip and my forearms. And so I'm just like beaten and battered. My ankles, just everything is like so beat up. And I worked so hard over the course of this week because I thought I was going to have it figured out. And now I'm just like physically torn up and mentally torn up. And I'm like, okay, I need to have a healthier mindset about this. And I've reached out to somebody for lessons, and I think it's going to be really good. And I'm really excited to, play that sport too. And, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. I tried to win it back this week like a fool. And, when I should have had a
Like a
better mindset.
fool.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear that, man. I hear that. It's it's amazing at the time it really takes to show growth and improvement. And
Mm-hmm.
it's but there are always outliers. There are always outliers. There's always that one person who just picks up whatever it is they're trying to pick up and they're just good at it, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like sometimes to me, it's so frustrating because I want to be good at
Mm-hmm.
cornhole so bad. And I love cornhole so much that my son and I started a podcast about it. Like
We
that's
did.
kind of how much we like cornhole. And for me to not be any better than I am sometimes is very frustrating, especially when I go to an event and they're like, "Oh yeah, that dude's been throwing for like 3 months, and he's just freaking throwing darts." And it's
Oh,
like,
has he? Wow.
that makes me
Great.
feel really great about myself. But
Yeah.
for those of us who have to try and who have to practice and who have to put in effort, it can be frustrating sometimes because I know how to throw bags. I know I have good mechanics. I can throw a flat bag. Like check,
Mm-hmm.
check. I got the tick boxes. I am capable of hitting shots. I'm capable of sliding a bag in the hole, right? So
Yep.
why does it come and go so much with me versus somebody that just is naturally inclined to it? They're like, oh yeah, well, I used to throw dryer lint in the trash can, and so I just naturally figured out throwing cornhole bags was the same thing.
God, that's hilarious.
And it's like, God, I hate you so much right now.
Man. Yeah,
But
it's a grind for sure.
it is a grind, and it's just I don't know. It's one of those things. Like I said, to hard work works, and so I'm not worried about it. Like I'll get
Right.
better. I just need to put in the work. That's all that's all there is to it. And then if I work harder than the person who's just naturally, able to throw backs, straighten in the hole, I can work to be better than them.
Most definitely. Most
So
definitely.
just because they're naturally more inclined to be better at this game than I am doesn't mean that I can't get to that level and I can't beat them, you know?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in your experience, the experience
Yeah.
comes into play too,
Mhm.
decision
Yeah.
making too, like
Yeah.
they could be
Dirty
very good
game.
at, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, just little things like what a bag is gonna do. It's like, no, they're not gonna be able to push that. Or if he
Mhm.
tries that, like it's gonna push that bag out of play. Or like, just like stuff
Mhm.
that you don't
Yeah.
know unless you played for a long time and you've seen a lot of bags do those
Mm.
things.
Yeah, exactly. So, maybe that's where the strategy comes in, and maybe that's where the playing that dirty game and blocking and stuff comes in handy because maybe that's a way to disrupt the rhythm and to overcome. So it's all part of it.
Yeah.
Strategy, the mental game, the mental. It's all there. So we have to get
Most
our
definitely.
advantages where we can.
Exactly. And I really like that you found, you found the positive in the regional. Like you looked at it and said, look, I performed well for not putting in the amount of work that I, would have had to get the result that I wanted.
Mhm.
And so I love that. I love like hunting the good stuff. If you had a bad day, you had a bad event or whatever, just
Mhm.
find whatever thing you did well and just look at that and focus on that, that one airmail that you hit well, or that one roll bag, or just,
Mhm.
sneak around or whatever. It's important to find that stuff because it keeps us motivated to keep going. If we just focus on the fact that we're not where we want to be, then
Mhm.
we're gonna lose the love for the process. And as far as I can tell, the love of the process is the thing that makes you successful in everything you do, regardless.
Mhm.
So we can't lose the love for that.
No, you're right. I mean, that's an excellent observation. I mean, that's the meat and potatoes of the situation, It's
For
just loving
sure.
the process. You have to.
Yeah. And the friends, and I mean, like, there are a lot of awesome, like, things outside of just playing the game too. I mean, there are a lot of people that are like super focused on it and don't really talk to anybody and stuff. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like, you spend too much time throwing bags
Yeah.
to not like look up and enjoy, you know, the people around you, the event that's around you, food trucks or like whatever. Like, there's a lot of awesome stuff to
Yeah.
enjoy.
No, there is. And it was nice, to get out and see everybody. And of course, my local people, they introduced me a lot, because I was a new player. So, because I
Yeah.
hadn't been around. So I definitely got lots and lots of good old fashioned fun ribbing, which I love. I take it in stride.
That's
I know these
hilarious.
people, I know these people care about me and they've missed me, and that's why they're giving me a hard time. And so I'm definitely going to try to get back out and be part of the group a little more frequently.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
So
I'm glad it
yeah,
was a good time.
yeah.
Do you have any other, pointers or anything you want to share or anything specific?
One thing you and I were talking about before that I think is kind of important is when we were talking, you and I were talking about it's hard to be a specialist at multiple things.
Mhm.
Like a lot of people who are really good at something, or um, usually it's something they're specialized in. Like
Right.
my brother, Brandon, for instance, he shout out Brandon. I don't know if you're watching or not, but
What's up, Uncle
anyway,
Brandon?
he's a great bow hunter. He is really good, like a super good shot, very steady. This guy can break down processes of bow hunting that you would never even consider.
Mhm.
Like the curvature of the earth plays a point, or the barometric pressure that affects the way
Right.
the arrow cuts through, and and not really. I mean, I'm kind of making a lot of that stuff up, but when he talks to me about what's going through his mind when he's going bow hunting, it's astounding. Like
It
you would never
is.
think. You'd think it's just shooting a bow and arrow, right? That's all there is to it. There's so much more to it than that. But he loves bow hunting, and I would say that is his peak interest. But he loves
Yep.
throwing bags too, and he loves playing golf. But he's definitely not as good at bags or golf as he is at bow hunting,
Right.
because that's where he chooses to focus his energy and his practice. Like when he has time available, he's shooting his bow. When he has time available, he's dialing that thing in. He's, making sure his yardage is correct, and making sure that, his release point is, he's not shaking when he triggers the release, and just
Mhm.
putting all of this energy and effort into it. And he's a heck of a cornhole player too.
Definitely.
But but if he's got available time to do something, it's probably not practicing cornhole. He's probably practicing with his bow.
Yeah.
Whereas like, me, I practice cornhole. I don't hunt, I don't golf, I don't do anything like that. I play cornhole. That is my hobby. It's my identity as a human being on this planet. As a dude
Wow.
who loves cornhole. No, it's not really, but
Hilarious.
that's me. I love cornhole. So that's where I put my energy. You know, I
Yeah.
watch matches. I throw when I can. And you know, it's been a less since I, you know, switched jobs and stuff, but I'm trying to get back into more of a, you know, I've got a good lighting set up in my backyard. If you watch the podcast or if you watch the live practice, you see it's pretty well lit. I don't have any problems.
Yeah, it looks
So
awesome.
I'm gonna have to just make the point of utilizing what I have and going out there, even if it's late for 30, 40 minutes and just, you
Yeah,
know, throwing some bags.
no
So
doubt.
but anyways, I just thought that was an interesting topic you were talking about because you're just like, it's really hard to be a specialist in multiple areas. Like,
Exactly.
how do you dedicate all the practice you need into shooting the bow to be a great bow hunter while putting in all the practice you need to be a great cornhole player and putting in all the practice you need to be a great golfer?
I'm trying
Like,
to
you
do
would
all
have
three of
to,
those things, and it's
yeah.
really
And
difficult.
it's really difficult.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. So, anyways, yes, I just thought that was an interesting thing too. It's like where you know, so for those of you who are doing multiple things and you know you're expecting to be great at all of them, it's probably not necessarily going to happen. Now, there are
Right.
outliers, I'm sure of it. I'm sure there are people who can do anything they want to do and they just have unlimited amounts of time to dedicate to it and they're wonderful at multiple things. We don't like you, go away. But
Yep.
anyway, for most of us regular people, we have to really dial it in on one specific thing and then maybe just casually practice the other things. So
Right.
that
I
was all.
agree. It's
Yeah.
you can't. I mean, yeah, you can't be great at everything for sure. I just that this conversation just reminds me of like the person that like inspires me most in cornhole is probably Damon Dennis, and
Mm-hmm.
the reason is just because that guy just holds that bag right out in front of him, and he just looks at the hole for 13 to 19 seconds, and then he throws that bag in the hole. I
13 to
mean,
19 seconds.
he is focused.
Mm-hmm.
Damon Dennis is not thinking about anything in that moment. I mean, maybe he is, but I can't see it. There's no way he's
No.
thinking about like going to the grocery store later or like left the butter out on the counter. He
Mm-hmm.
is thinking about throwing that bag, and I love the way he
This
holds it too.
bag.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, like a cheeseburger. And I've started to do it. I saw him do it. I went out in the backyard and I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it now. You just have to hold that bag and just throw that bag in the hole. I mean, it's just so simple and so good. I love
Yeah.
Damon Dennis, and he's the nicest guy ever. And
Yeah. Super nice guy.
oh
Very awesome dude. But yeah, you're right. The definition of old man fast side is going to bring it to you.
God,
And he's good. He can do cut shots and stuff like that. But
he does. Yeah,
the thing is striking is like that is not his bread and butter. Damon Dennis is going to slide in on you all day. And then he's going to airmail over you all day. He's got a slide, he's got the airmail. He's capable of hitting a cut shot for sure. But
yeah,
that
he does.
man, he wants to slide it in or he wants to airmail over you. He's not worried about you. He knows
He
where he wants his
threw.
bag to go and he puts it there.
Yeah, he at one of the events a couple weeks ago, he was playing against Frank Modlin in the final, the senior final, and he ended up losing ultimately. But he Frank had to double. Uh, no, he had to win twice, and he won the
Okay.
first one. And God, he threw like I think it was like 38 bags in the hole straight, and it was just
Yeah.
unbelievable. And I just watching him do that just really it's crazy to see how focused he is. And obviously people
Mm.
can focus without taking 29 seconds to throw it, but um
That guy
you know
cannot.
yeah, I mean, and that's fine with me, man. If it takes you that long, like I want to take that long. Like I'm gonna start doing like it's going to be 12 seconds holding it in front of me for a slide shot, and then 17 to 19 for airmail.
I want to really dig in and overthink this as much as I possibly
Yeah.
can. Because I've realized in my efforts that overthinking it always does better. Like the longer I stew
Really?
on something, the way better that I throw or perform. Like I definitely don't just totally botch any shot that I think about for way over, other than just reflexively throwing it,
Yeah.
and being
Yeah.
confident and sure of it,
Yeah. You definitely
but
want to just think about it as long as possible. But
as long as possible.
I like it though. I kind of have started doing it a little bit, just like taking a second, really focusing, and then throwing it, and
Yeah.
trying to be single minded. So that's been good.
Yeah, I'm definitely for taking a moment. One of the things that I try to do, and I do it sometimes, and then sometimes I forget to do it because I'll get in the moment or in the zone, is I have started to step away after each shot. And
Oh, nice.
I don't even mean step away as in like walk all the way back to the back of the board, but like I'll throw it and then just take a couple little steps back. And then when it's my
Nice.
turn to throw again, step up and reset, because I don't know why. Honestly, I don't know why. But I feel like my first bag a lot of times is really good. Like
Yeah.
I usually can go in the hole with my first bag. And so I try to make every bag feel like my first bag by
Yeah.
stepping out and then stepping up and resetting.
That's
So,
a good little trick. Yeah.
sometimes I feel like it works and sometimes I feel like it doesn't. But whatever it happens in your mind, if it makes you feel better in your mind to do that or slow down and be methodical, then that's what you need to do, because that's part of it. It's a huge mental game.
Most definitely. And that's why you see so many players nowadays. They stack their bags on the back of the board and they pick one up at a time. Like that
Yep.
never used to be a thing. And now everybody
Right.
does it. And,
Mm-hmm.
like I think people would just have realized that you don't want to be living in that next bag, or like living in the past moment of what happened with the last bag. It's a new fresh start every single time you pick up a new bag. And if you're holding three more in your hand or two more in your hand, you're thinking about, okay, at least I have this many to like make up for what I'm trying to do. It's like you're not trying to win anything back like we're talking about. You're just trying to
Yeah.
throw that bag in the hole.
Yeah. And that might be an option too. I think a lot of people, and myself included, like I actually feel better with the bags in my hand. And I don't know if it's because of a counterweight or what, but like I never know what to do with my hand when I've run out of bags and I have just this one. Let
Right.
me see.
Yeah. Good. Am I?
Mm,
Yeah.
so,
No,
but
that's
yeah,
different
I've
though.
actually,
That's part of your like feel, like Tony
yeah,
Smith
but it
does that too.
might not be a bad idea, honestly, just to set them all down. That way, not only is every bag a reset bag, but your your last bag is just like your first bag. Your middle two bags are just like your first and your last. Like there's no counterbalance in this hand. You're just picking up a single bag every time. And so if you can dial that single bag in with no counterweight, you're less likely to feel awkward when you get out of bags in your hand. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And yeah, I think it's really good. I think for everybody listening, don't stack them down at the front of the board, because when you
Stack
throw your
them.
bag, then you reach down in the middle of somebody's swing, and it's
Mm-hmm.
the single worst thing
Oh,
ever. So
yeah,
don't do
it
that.
is. Or wait, if you feel like you want them at the front of the board, then do like Brett Guy does, who is Brett, I feel like is great at this. He sets his bags down, but he doesn't pick up until you release.
That's
So
awesome.
that's
Yeah.
that's one thing I've always appreciated about him, is like even though he sets his bags down, he throws his bag, you throw your bag, then he reaches down, picks up his next bag.
Right.
So just be
That's the way to do
respectful.
it.
Be respectful of the players, because if you don't think it's distracting to lean over, especially because you're leaning to wherever they are, it doesn't matter which side of the board you're on. If your bags are stacked there, you're leaning in their direction while they're throwing. And if they're
Ugh,
if they're throwing over the board, you're real close to hitting their arm. That can be distracting. So just be mindful of that.
100%. There was a crazy moment in an event it was the one a couple weekends ago where Damon Dennis was playing, but um God, Alex Rawls was playing somebody, and it was down to the wire, and like he threw a bad bag at the end, and he like reached over or something to like shake somebody's hand as they were like throwing their last bag. And it was
Oh
so
no.
sad because they missed it and they lost the game. It was like, oh, I messed up, it's over. And I think it was just an influence, like it was just an instinct because he
Yeah.
wanted that last bag so bad, and he like reached to him, but he was like throwing, and it was yeah. Anytime,
Oh,
I just hate that. It's just like we're talking about. It
yeah.
takes so much focus. I don't. He definitely didn't. I don't think he did it intentionally, but
I'm sure he didn't.
just all that reaching over and like reaching down and stuff with moving while people are. It's yeah. I hate
Yeah,
it.
it's distracting. So, but anyway, well, that's all I had for today. So,
That's all I got. I'm glad we were able to
yeah.
talk.
Yeah, me too, man. So, like I said, I know it was just really catching up with no real focus topic, but I feel like there's some good information in here for people
No doubt.
um, listening and trying to get advice and takeaways from the show. So, just let us know. Guys, comment below, like, subscribe. We're over 1,000 now, so that's pretty cool.
I know. I'm super
1,000
excited.
subscribers on YouTube anyway. So
Right.
it's pretty cool. So thank you guys so much for that. We really appreciate you.
We do. Thanks, guys, so much. We'll see you in the next one.
All right. See ya.